Sparks. I am so glad to be with you again today. First, I want to tell you how much fun I had last week with you all in our online pajama party for those of you that got to be with us, and we got to kind of hang out and have a little fun online. That was such a fun time. And if you didn't get to be with us, hopefully we can do that again here in a few weeks if we're not all back together on a normal schedule. And you can be with us then. So today our lesson is about Joseph, and most of you probably have heard this story about Joseph and his coat of many colors. And so this story, I always enjoyed this story as a kid. I still enjoy reading this section of Genesis even now. But the story is about jealousy. And we've all been there. We've all been jealous before of maybe a friend or someone we go to school with, or your brother or your sister. Maybe they've gotten something that you didn't get a gift, or maybe they got to pick out a toy or a new shirt and you didn't, and you wanted something, or they, got some attention from mom and dad and you didn't get attention, that sort of thing. We've all been jealous of something. Maybe they've got something that you want and you can't have it. We've all been there. But at the end of the day, being jealous of one another is not okay. It's wrong. So Joseph was one of Jacob's 12 children. And remember last week and the week before, I asked you, what did those 12 children represent? And so I told you last week in our pajama party that those 12 children represented the 12 tribes of Israel. So going way back to the very beginning when we started talking about Abraham and what God promised him, a nation. Here, years and years and years and years and years later, we're still talking about that nation. And that nation is going to be broken up into 12 tribes. And they're all going to have the names of these 12 brothers, and Jacob is one of them. Now, Jacob is the youngest of these brothers, and the thing here about Jacob is and it even says in the Bible that he is favored by his father. And so we're going to be covering chapter 37 of Genesis. So if you want to get out your Bible so that you have it, you're more than welcome to. But and it says in verse 3, it tells us very specifically here in verse 3 in Genesis chapter 37, now Israel, and Jacob's name has changed from Jacob now to being Israel. And so they're going to refer to him in the rest of this book of Genesis as Israel. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his other brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. So they didn't like him. I mean, hate's a very strong word, and it says in here that they hated him and they could not speak peaceably unto him. That means that they weren't kind. When they spoke to him, they weren't speaking kindly to him and showing kindness to him. They did not like him. And it wasn't his fault. That was not his fault. That was Israel's fault. He showed favoritism to this one son more than the other sons. And that wasn't Jacob's fault, but they didn't like him because of that. But it goes even further. Joseph starts having these dreams. And then he tells his brothers about these dreams. And one of them is that he said to them, I pray to you this dream, and lo, my sheaf arose and stood upright, and behold, your sheaf stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf. And that means they bowed down. And sheaves are when they cut their hay. They didn't have like a mowing machine and a hay baler and a kicker and all that to like put their hay up. What they did is they cut it and then they gathered it up and they tied it into bundles, and they called those sheaves. And so he said, my sheaf was bigger than yours, and then all of your sheaves bowed down to mine. What do you think about? Okay, your little brother standing there telling all of his older brothers that one day I'm going to be, you're going to bow down to me. He wouldn't like that. And there was already dislike there because of Israel showing favoritism to Joseph, so that just made it even worse. He had another dream as well that was kind of along the same line, and it said, he dreamed yet another dream and told his brethren and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. So he's saying the sun and the moon, which is going to represent Israel and his mother, his wife, so Jacob's mother and father, and the 11 stars are going to be his 11 other brothers. They bowed down to him. And even his father kind of comments here on this that, really, is that really going to happen? We are going to bow down to you. But and as we study, we're going to find out that really does come to happen. But because his brothers did not like him already, because of how Israel treated him differently than the rest of his brothers, they didn't take that very well. And in fact, as we go on, the brothers have gone off. The other 11 brothers have gone off to take care of the sheep. And so Israel tells Joseph, he says, I want you to go check on them. Go check on them for me, see what they're doing, making sure, everything's okay, they're not having any trouble, and you come back and you tell me. So he takes off and he goes to find his brothers and to check on them. Well, they can see him coming, like from afar off. And they were like, we're going to get Joseph. He's out here by himself. Daddy's not with him. We're going to get him. And so they come up with this plan. They intend to kill Joseph here. They intend to kill him and get rid of him. That's how much they hate him. And so his brother Reuben, he says, whoa. I don't think we need to kill him. But Reuben says in the 21st verse of chapter 37, and Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, then he may rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. So Reuben says, let's not kill him. Let's throw him in this pit. He'll be lost. They can't find him. He doesn't return home. And then we'll come back and we'll get him like we found him, and all will be well. Like, Dad will like us. It never really says here, it kind of leads you to believe that Reuben is going to do this himself. He's going to come back and get Joseph and bring him to Dad, and he's going to be, Dad's going to show favoritism to him then. It's kind of what, as I read that verse, it makes me think. And so they're like, okay, we'll do that. We'll throw him in his pit. We'll just leave him there. So Joseph gets to his brothers. They wrestle him to the ground. They throw him in the pit. And so they're all sitting down and they're eating their bread, and they look up and a caravan of men come through, and it says a company of Ishmaelites come from Gilead with their camels, bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. So they're tradesmen. They've been to gather and buy things from another country, and they're coming and they're bringing it back to Egypt to sell it. And so they have an idea. And they say, and Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him. For he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. And there passed by the Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. So they sold him. And so this is going to change everything. This story continues on, and we're going to learn more and more about Joseph, but they sold him, and those men took him to Egypt. Well, after they sold him, their brother Reuben, he comes back, and he sees Joseph's gone. What am I going to do? What's going to happen to me? That's his first question. It says here, and I kind of laughed to myself when I read this. He wasn't concerned about Joseph at all. He was concerned about himself. And he says, and Reuben returned into the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit. And he rent his clothes. He tore his clothes. He got really tore up. And he said, and he returned to his brothers, and he said, the child is not, and whither shall I go? Where am I going to go? What's going to happen here? He wasn't concerned about what did you do with Joseph? What happened to him? He was like, what's going to happen to me? Because now I can't take Joseph back to Dad and look like I've saved Joseph's life. That was not good. That wasn't, he really wasn't concerned about Joseph. He was concerned about himself. And so they come up with this plan. Well, we've got his coat over here. Let's tear it up and cover it in blood, and let's make it look like he's been attacked. And so they tear his coat up, and they cover it in blood, and they take it back to their father, and they show him. Well, that just breaks Israel's heart because he thinks his son Joseph is dead, and so he goes into mourning for several days. Nobody can comfort him, and he's just heartbroken because he has lost a beloved son. And the last verse kind of leaves us at a cliffhanger here. You know how you'll be watching a show on TV and it kind of leaves it like it doesn't finish it. And so it kind of leaves it that way in this last verse of the chapter. And it said, the Midianites sold him unto Egypt, unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and the captain of the guard. And it leaves off there. And we're going to leave off there too for this week. So we're to that the brothers have sold him. And then those men, those tradesmen, those merchants that bought him, they took him into Egypt and they sold him to a captain of Pharaoh's guard. And we're going to stop there. So, Joseph's brothers were very jealous of him. And it wasn't Joseph's fault. Sometimes we get caught up in Joseph kind of smarting off to his brothers about the dreams and like, you shouldn't have done that. But the problem originated with Israel treating Joseph so different than his other brothers that caused the jealousy, and that is where the problem originated. We all get jealous at times and want what other people have or want the attention that other people are getting. And, whether you realize it or not, you're getting something special somewhere down the road too. It's hard to see that we're getting things too from our parents and from our family, but sometimes we get focused on all that the other person is getting when you're getting just as much. I just want all of you to know that, sometimes it's hard to look at other people and their stuff and not get jealous. But jealousy can lead to a lot of really bad things. It can, here in this story, it led to those brothers absolutely hating their brother to the point that they had intentions of killing him. I mean, they sold him to somebody. In this country, that's illegal. You could go to jail for that just as much as you could go to jail for killing somebody. That's a horrible thing to do, that you hate somebody so much that you think about killing them and you think about selling them. That's not good at all. Regardless of how they felt about Joseph, they should have walked away from that. But like I said, we want to be very careful about being jealous of other people, because that can lead to a lot of bad feelings and bad actions. Making bad choices. So we're going to leave off there today. I want to tell you all how much I love you and I miss you, and I'm enjoying getting to see you on Sunday mornings, even though I really don't get to talk a whole lot to you. I do see you sitting back there as I'm up there singing. We're going to continue with our Joseph story as the weeks go on. Hopefully here soon things will work out, and I've been saying this every week. Hopefully soon we're going to get to all be together again, but I've not quit hoping and praying for that, and I hope that you are praying for that as well. Continue to pray for one another and for the lost, and I love you, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.